Hello everybody, welcome to my channel that is Economics to Us. This is my second lecture which I will be recording and presenting to you today. And today's topic is consumption function and Keynesian theory. This is just a continuation of my first lecture, which was, I'll just do a quick recap of the thing. It was just the telling you about the macroeconomic indicators, that is the GDP, income, employment, savings, investment. And GDP has various components. The gross domestic product, as I told you, it helps us in knowing about the national income, the economic growth of the country, and it has various components. Basically, if you take up the economy, you have the consumption functions, consumptions, investments, government expenditure, and net exports. So I'll be taking up the lectures about all the four components of GDP separately to make the understanding about the GDP components very clear. So today I'm picking up the first component, that's consumption function, and related to it what Keynes, he is a famous economist, what theory he has given. Today we'll cover that in our lecture. Now firstly, I will explain you about consumption function. Now taking up from a very basic level, consumption level is actually determined by the level of income. That is, whatever income we have, that determines our consumption's level. So consumption is a function of income, that is Y. So I've written a formula also, that is C is the function of Y. C is the consumption expenditure, which is a function of income, and there is a positive relationship between two components. You can say that this functional relation which exists between income and consumption signifies that consumption is dependent upon income. Income being an independent factor, that is, consumption is derived from income. Income is not derived from consumption, but consumption is derived from income. So consumption is a dependent factor on income. Now the income that we are taking here is talking about the disposable income that we are left in hand. That is income after paying all the taxes, after receiving all the subsidies, whatever is left in our hand, after doing all the deductions that are there, the PPF deductions, the tax deductions, the additional revenue that we generate through subsidies, or so after doing all these settlements, whatever we are left up is our disposable income. I will take up different lectures for the national income accounting series that I'll come up later. Just for your understanding, it is the disposable income, that is whatever we are left in hand to buy things for. Next point is that now income and consumption relationship you have understood, but now what is this, to what extent the income determines the consumption's level? That depends upon our marginal propensity to consume, that is MPC. That is the proportion of increase in consumption due to increase in income. That depends upon MPC. I'll tell you the formula in the upcoming slides, but with increase in income, consumers' investments, if they are not investment, then they will be saving. So, both the things increases if the income is increasing. So income, that is Y, is the sum total of consumption expenditure plus investment or savings. So, a consumer can do either of the one thing. He can either invest or he can either save. So that's why instead of if you're talking it from the saving function thing, then Y is equal to C plus S. If it is from the investment point of view, then Y, that's total income, is consumption expenditure plus investment expenditure. So this is what is consumption function. Now we come to the types of consumption function. We have two types of consumption functions, that is average propensity to consume and marginal propensity to consume. Average propensity to consume says that consumption upon income. This is the formula for APC. That is, what is the consumption expenditure upon what is the income. MPC, as I just told you in the previous slide also, it's the rate of change in consumption due to change in income. So the DC upon dy statistically means the change in the consumption upon the change in income. So this is the formula for both the things, the consumption function. So marginal propensity to consume, as I just told you in my previous slide, is MPC, which says that MPC is equal to DC upon DY. Actually, it is the proportionate change in consumption to proportionate change in income. Now, supposedly my income increases by 100 rupees, okay? Supposedly, which is very less in today's world, but still for a better understanding. Now, out of this 100, how much I'm going to, this 100 is my change in income. Okay, this is not my absolute income. This is just the change in income. So in like out of this 100, how much I'm going to spend on my consumption? What will be my consumption expenditure? That is the change in C. So out of this change Y, that is 100, might be I am spending just 20 rupees. I'm bringing only 20 as a change, 20 rupee change in my consumption. So what will happen? The change in C will be 20. So here my MPC will be 20 upon 100. So that is what is the whole, MPC formula is. That is, you have to bring a proportion to your, marginal propensity to consume. That is, whatever is your change in income to your change, out of that change in income, what proportion you are spending on consumption. So it's like, you are going to spend 20 out of your 100. That is your increase in income. Now MPC plus MPS is equal to 1. Whatever you are now, as I told you before also, whatever income is, the consumer, in a very simple economy, I'm not going into a very complex one, because my idea behind this channel is to make economics understandable to every layman, so, and develop an interest for it. So the thing is that as whatever an income is earned, a consumer will a individual will either consume out of it or will invest or save out of it. So as I just told you, Y is equal to C plus I or C plus S. I'm taking now, so out of that 100, if 20 is a spend on consumption, that 80 that is left, the consumer will either invest or will either save. Okay, savings and investment are two different things. Why in economics we take it differently. Saving is not investment. This I will explain more detail in the upcoming lectures that I will prepare, but just for your understanding, investment is actually investing into financial instruments, like stocks, bonds, even in the increasing the capital stock. Whereas saving is just risk free. You can just go into the banks and do FDs, or you can start with the recurring deposits. These are all kinds of savings, so where you earn interest rates. So there's a difference between investment and saving. So this is another way of calculating the MPC when you are doing 1 minus MPS. So like what I've taken upon the formula for 20 upon 100. So 20 upon 100 will further leave it to, you can say, so 20 upon 100, that means MPC is 0.2. 0.2, if I want to know about my MPS out of it, so I can go other way around also, as the formula says MPC plus MPS is equal to 1. So I can just calculate is, if I want to know about the MPS, so I'll do 1 minus MPC, that is 1 minus 0.2. So the MPS will be 0.8. That means out of my total increase in income, I'm spending 20% on consumption and 80% on saving. Now this is another point that you have to remember, that the MPC values lies between 0 and 1. Reason being that a consumer, whether he has an income or he doesn't have an income, we will always consume. So there will always be a value for MPC. But as I just told you, we can never ever consume the whole increase in income. If suppose my income is increasing by 100, I will not spend that whole of 100 in consuming goods. That is not possible. So it cannot exceed 1 also. 1 means that whatever we are earning, whatever increase is there in the income, we are spending the whole of it in the consumption. That is not at all possible. So that's why we have, this is a limitation for the MPC value, that its value lies between 0 and 1. Now we come to a very, very important person, that is Keynes' theory. Okay, Keynes, in his general theory, which was published in 1936, has told about the consumption, has focused about the consumption expenditure, and he determined that the absolute size of current income, that's current means the present income, as determined, is a determinant of consumption. So Keynes has determined that the absolute size of the current income, that is the present year income, is a determinant of consumption. And this is what is the theory, absolute income theory of consumption, says that we are talking about the current size of the income. It is the current size which determines the theory, the value, or you can say the level of consumption. So it is then whenever we are talking about the income, according to Keynes, is the current. We will not consider the past savings, the past income. It is only the related to the activity that we are doing in the present time, that is in the current period, whether it is for a year, for quarterly, or whatever. So it's the current income. And that is what the absolute income theory of consumption says. And Keynes very strongly follow the psychological law of consumption also, which states that, so psychological law of consumption, which again states that as your current income increases, a consumer will surely increase his consumption, but not completely or to a very high level in proportion to the income. It is not so. He will surely increase his consumption, but not in proportion to the income. He will surely save out of it also. So this is what the psychological law of consumption says, which Keynes has followed, and this is what his absolute income theory of consumption also incorporates. Now, what is the Keynes consumer behavior? What is the Keynes prediction about the consumer behavior? He has propounded about the psychological law of consumption, but I'll tell you in more detail about what is it. Now, consumption is a positive function of absolute level of current income. As I just told you, it's the absolute income theory of consumption states the same thing. Now, consumption expenditure is not proportionate to change in income, that is there. As income increases, consumption increases, but at a lesser rate. APC falls as income increases, because APC formula says that C upon Y is the formula. So average propensity to consume, as the income increases, because the changes in the absolute, income is increasing at a higher rate, and consumption is increasing, but not at a very, very, higher rate. So C upon Y, obviously, when the numerator is smaller than the denominator, the values keeps on, and denominator is increasing, but the numerator is not increasing in the same proportion, or it is increasing at a decreasing rate, then surely the APC will surely show that it's falling down. MPC is always less than APC, that is change in consumption is less than change in income. That is there. When the absolute level is not changing at a very high rate, how can the change be, measured at a very high rate? So MPC value is always less than the APC value, because the change is always lesser than the absolute level. So that is there, which is shown here. Now here is a graph which I have tried to draw to explain it to you in a better way, because economics is incomplete without graphical presentation. For better understanding, we do need that. So as I just told you, consumption function, I'll explain to you in the long run and short run what it is. There are two axes, income, that's the x-axis taking the income, and the y-axis taking the consumptions. So you can see that in the long run, which is represented by a red line, it's the long run consumption function, and it has a constant APC. Constant APC is there, and in the short run consumption, as I just told you, APC falls down. So APC is constant in the long run due to higher increase in income and consumption, that is there, because again you can see the graph and correlate what I'm saying is that as the income is increasing, consumption is also increasing, because there is time, and in the, in the long run, even if you're not earning, even if your income is not increasing, but just to maintain your level of consumption, you can use your past savings also. So it is not only about, talking about the current income level. In the long run, you can always use your past incomes also, past savings also, past investment also, to maintain a level of consumption. So you can see that even your red line is, coming from the origin, that is zero, and still at that zero level there is some level of consumption that is, there. As you grow, move on to 10 points, you can see that your consumption is also increasing, and it is continuously increasing in as your income is increasing, because to maintain your consumption level, you will start using your past incomes also. So APC is constant in the long run, and in the short run, the APC, mathematically also, since there is no change in consumption when income is increasing, as consumption, yes, as I told you, maybe due to their past saving, but in the short run, APC fall as income increases, because consumption is not increasing in the same proportion as your income is increasing. You can see the blue line is the short run consumption function curve, which is flatter. You can see that. So this shows that as your income is increasing from 10 to 20 to 30, 40, the rate of change is 10, 10, 10. But similarly, the consumption is just increasing by 5 points, 10, 15, 20, 20. So this showing that the proportionate change in consumption is lesser than the proportionate change in income. Now, for a better understanding, I have made up another slide explaining to you that why APC falls in the short run. Now, as income increases, APC falls, and as savings increases. That is the indication that if your APC is falling, this shows that your increase in income, the consumer is investing or saving more, and he's spending less on consumption. And as I told you, the change in consumption is lesser than the change in income, indicating that MPC is less than 1. APC of rich people is lower than the poor people, because rich people obviously wants to save more, as their change in income is also higher. So they will not be consuming that whole amount of income, whereas for the poor people, the change in income will be lesser. So for sure, they will be spending a higher proportion of their income to consumption, as compared to their savings will obviously be lesser then, because they will surely, rich people have already covered the necessary things, but for the poor people, they many a time sacrifice their necessary things also, because they cannot earn that much, they cannot spend that much. But as their income increases, they will cover up that APC also. So for sure, their consumption expenditure will be higher than the expenditure, than the rich people expenditure on consumption. This is the basis of the Keynes theory of income and employment. For sure, I will give you, making up a detailed presentation about the Keynes theory of income and employment to explain to you the equilibrium level of income and employment in an economy, which is very useful for the macroeconomic, understanding the macroeconomic concepts. So here I would like to end up my presentation. Thank you so much for your understanding, for your patience, and for listening to my explanation. Kindly do subscribe to my channel and like it also, and do leave your comments if you have any doubts regarding my explanations. Thank you so much. Goodbye.